We all grow up with a picture of what aliens look like. Big eyes, thin bodies, humanoid shapes with long fingers and smooth grey skin, designed to frighten rather than to represent genuine biological possibility. But those images mostly come from movies and costumes, not from science. They're shaped by what fits in a film frame, what an actor can wear, or what a special effects budget can manage, not by what biology on another world would realistically allow. So when we ask what aliens might actually look like, we're asking a very different question. Not what would be scary or what would look cool on screen, but what does the universe actually permit? What does evolution produce when it isn't limited to Earth? What does life look like when it grows under different gravity, different chemistry, different pressure, different stars? The answer, as best as current science can provide it, is both more strange and more constrained than fiction typically suggests. Life cannot take just any shape. It must obey the laws of physics. It must solve the problems that all life faces. Problems like breathing, eating, sensing, protecting itself, and reproducing. And it must be built from materials that chemistry allows. These constraints narrow the possibilities enormously. Those rules eliminate a lot of the creatures we see in movies, while still leaving room for forms that would astonish us, creatures adapted to conditions we can barely imagine, organisms adapted to worlds we've never walked on, bodies shaped by environments that have no parallel on Earth. You're watching The Drowsy Astronaut, and tonight we're exploring what aliens might realistically look like. Not Hollywood aliens, but life as nature might build it somewhere else. This is a slow journey, something you can listen to while resting, unwinding, or letting your thoughts settle in the background. If this helps you relax, consider liking or subscribing, and feel free to share where you're listening from tonight. Whenever you're ready, let us begin. The most likely alien life we will discover, almost certainly, will be microscopic. Single-celled organisms too small to see without magnification, the kind of life that dominated Earth for billions of years before complex creatures appeared. Microbes are the most successful life form on our planet, by nearly any measure. They are the most numerous, the most diverse, the most widespread, and the most ancient. They thrive in conditions that would kill any animal, from boiling hot springs to frozen Antarctic lakes, from the crushing depths of ocean trenches to the inside of nuclear reactors. When we imagine first contact with alien life, we should imagine a microscope rather than a spaceship, a sample return mission rather than a diplomatic envoy. The oceans beneath Europa's ice, if they harbour life, almost certainly harbour microbes rather than fish or whales or creatures we would recognise as animals. The subsurface of Mars, if anything lives there, hosts bacteria or archaea or their alien equivalents rather than the Martians of old science fiction. This is not a disappointing answer, but a profound one, because microbial life is still life, still biology, still the answer to whether we are alone. What might alien microbes look like under a microscope that could examine them? The basic geometry might be familiar. Spheres, rods, spirals, shapes that reflect the physics of being very small in a liquid environment. Cell membranes made from molecules that self-assemble into boundaries, containing the machinery of metabolism and reproduction within. Some internal structure, perhaps compartments that organize different chemical processes, perhaps a central region containing genetic information. The scale would be similar to Earth microbes, because physics sets limits on how small a self-replicating chemical system can be. Yet the details would differ, perhaps dramatically, depending on the chemistry that underlies alien biochemistry. The molecules that build the cell membrane might be different from the phospholipids that Earth life uses, creating boundaries with different properties. The genetic material might use a different coding system than DNA and RNA, storing information in molecules we have never encountered. Beyond microbes, the question of what larger alien life might look like becomes both more speculative and more visually interesting, as size brings new constraints and new possibilities that microscopic life does not face. Large organisms must solve problems that small organisms can ignore. How to support their own weight against gravity. How to transport nutrients and oxygen throughout bodies too large for simple diffusion. How to move through environments that resist motion at macroscopic scales. These problems have solutions, and the solutions shape what bodies look like. On Earth, land animals larger than insects require internal skeletons or external shells to maintain their shapes against gravity. Structures that provide the rigid framework around which soft tissues organize. Circulatory systems pump fluids through networks of vessels, delivering oxygen and nutrients to cells too far from the body surface to obtain them directly. Muscles attach to skeletal elements across joints, providing the leverage that enables movement on scales where inertia matters. Similar problems would face similar solutions on other worlds, which is why we might expect certain features to recur in alien life, even when the underlying biochemistry differs from Earth's. The need to support weight suggests skeletons of some kind. The need to move suggests appendages, limbs or tentacles, or something functionally equivalent. The need to sense the environment suggests organs for detecting light, sound, chemicals, or other signals that carry information about the surroundings. This reasoning leads to a prediction that might seem paradoxical. Alien life might be simultaneously very different from Earth life in its biochemistry and evolutionary history, yet surprisingly similar in its gross morphology and functional organization. A creature that swims through an alien ocean might look something like a fish, not because of shared ancestry, but because streamlined shapes are the right answer to moving efficiently through liquid. A creature that flies through an alien atmosphere might look something like a bird, because wings are the right answer to generating lift. The environment of any world imposes constraints that shape what life can look like there, meaning we can make predictions about alien forms based on what we know about alien conditions. Gravity is perhaps the most fundamental constraint, determining how heavy bodies can be and how strongly they are pulled toward the ground. A high-gravity world, a super-Earth, with twice or 3 times Earth's surface gravity, would favor creatures that are stocky and low-slung, with thick limbs and compact bodies that minimize the structural stress of supporting their own weight. On such a world, tall trees might be impossible, replaced by shrubs and ground-hugging plants that never reach the heights of Earth's forests. Animals might resemble armored beetles or low-slung reptiles rather than the upright forms that mammals have evolved on our comparatively gentle planet. The energy cost of locomotion would be higher, perhaps favoring slow and deliberate movement over the quick dashes that Earth predators and prey often display. Conversely, a low-gravity world would allow life to grow tall and slender, reaching heights that would collapse under their own weight on Earth. Spindly creatures on thin limbs might pick their way across landscapes where falling carries less consequence than it does here. Flight would be easier, requiring less energy to stay aloft, perhaps leading to aerial ecosystems more diverse than anything Earth possesses. Creatures too large to fly on Earth might drift through low-gravity skies with ease. The atmosphere of a world also shapes what life looks like, determining what gases are available for respiration, how much protection exists against harmful radiation, and how difficult flight becomes. A thick atmosphere, denser than Earth's, makes flight easier by providing more lift, potentially allowing larger flying creatures or enabling organisms to float passively on air currents. A thin atmosphere makes flight harder and might confine life to ground-dwelling forms, while also exposing surfaces to more radiation that life must either avoid or tolerate. The light available on a world profoundly influences how life perceives its environment, shaping the sensory organs that evolve to gather information about surroundings. On Earth, eyes have evolved independently dozens of times because light is abundant and carries useful information about the location of food, predators, mates, and obstacles. We should expect eyes or analogous light-sensing organs on any world where significant light reaches the surface, though the specific design might differ based on the intensity and spectrum of available illumination. Around red dwarf stars, which produce most of their light in infrared and red wavelengths, rather than the yellow light our sun emphasizes, alien eyes might be tuned to different parts of the spectrum than human eyes perceive. Creatures might see in what we would call near-infrared, detecting heat signatures as easily as we detect colors. Their visual world would be shifted toward wavelengths invisible to us, their perception of reality literally different from ours, even when looking at the same scene. The dimness of red dwarf light might also produce aliens with larger eyes than Earth creatures typically possess, gathering scarce photons with expanded light-collecting surfaces. Nocturnal animals on Earth show this adaptation, with owls and tarsiers possessing enormous eyes relative to their body size. Aliens under dim red suns might have faces dominated by vast dark eyes, giving them an appearance that would seem eerily familiar to humans who have grown up with certain images of aliens from popular culture. In environments without light, the deep oceans beneath ice-covered moons, the caverns beneath planetary surfaces, the abyssal zones below any world's photosynthetic layer, eyes become useless and other senses take over. Aliens in these environments might perceive the world through echolocation, like bats, through electrical field detection like sharks, through chemical sensing like insects, or through senses we have not imagined, because nothing on Earth has evolved them. Their heads might lack anything resembling eyes. Their bodies might lack distinct faces as we understand them. The medium in which life exists, liquid or gas or the interface between solid and fluid, constrains body plans in ways that create predictable patterns. Aquatic life across Earth's oceans shows convergent evolution towards streamlined shapes, from fish to dolphins to ichthyosaurs, lineages separated by hundreds of millions of years of evolution, yet arriving at similar solutions to moving through water. We should expect alien swimmers to show similar streamlining. Their bodies tapered and smooth, to reduce drag as they propel themselves through whatever liquid fills their seas. The absence of solid surfaces in aquatic environments favors different locomotion strategies than land offers, with fins and flippers and undulating bodies replacing legs and feet. Aliens in ice-covered oceans would likely be swimmers throughout their lives, never touching solid ground, their bodies entirely optimized for movement through liquid. They might look something like the marine creatures we know, or they might find solutions that Earth life has not explored, propelling themselves through jets of expelled water like squid, or through rhythmic contractions of their entire bodies. The transition from water to land, if it occurs on other worlds as it occurred on Earth, would reshape bodies dramatically as creatures adapted to support themselves against gravity without water's buoyancy. Fins would become limbs, gills would become lungs, and bodies would develop the robust internal architecture needed to maintain shape without fluid support. The aliens that colonize land on other worlds might carry marks of their aquatic ancestry just as we do, their limb bones homologous to fins, their body plans constrained by an evolutionary history that began in water. This first exploration of what alien life might look like has established the basic principle: form follows function, and function follows environment. The next part continues with how specific environments, gravity, atmosphere, light, would shape alien bodies in more detail. The relationship between environment and body is intimate and inescapable. Every feature of every organism reflecting the conditions under which it evolved and the problems those conditions imposed. On Earth, we see this relationship everywhere we look, from the thick fur of Arctic mammals to the water-storing tissues of desert succulents, from the pressure-resistant bodies of deep-sea fish to the lightweight bones of flying birds. Alien life would show the same intimate relationship with its own environments, bodies shaped by conditions we can only partly imagine. Gravity sets the most fundamental constraint on alien bodies, determining the maximum size of organisms and the structural investments required to move and maintain shape. On a world with twice Earth's gravity, a creature weighing 100 kilograms on Earth would weigh 200 kilograms, its bones and muscles straining under loads they did not evolve to bear. Life on such a world would never evolve the tall, slender forms that Earth's relatively modest gravity permits, instead favoring compact bodies with thick limbs and low centers of gravity. The tallest trees on Earth reach heights of over 100 meters, their trunks massive columns of wood that resist both gravity and wind. On a high-gravity world, such heights would be structurally impossible, the crushing weight of elevated tissues exceeding any material's ability to support them. Vegetation might spread horizontally rather than vertically, carpeting the ground in dense mats rather than reaching for the sky. Forests as we know them might not exist, replaced by something more like prairies or tundra regardless of climate. Animals on high-gravity worlds would likely have more legs than Earth animals typically possess, distributing weight across more points of contact and reducing the load on any individual limb. 6 or 8 legs might be standard for large creatures, with 4 legs reserved for smaller animals that face less gravitational stress. The posture would be sprawling rather than erect, bodies held close to the ground rather than elevated on straight columns of bone. Running might be less common than walking, the energy cost of rapid locomotion prohibitive when every movement must fight against enhanced gravity. Low-gravity worlds offer the opposite extreme, environments where bodies can grow large and light, reaching sizes impossible under Earth's gravitational pull. A creature on a world with half Earth's gravity would weigh half as much. its bones and muscles easily supporting structures that would collapse on our planet. This liberation from gravitational constraint could produce aliens of startling proportions, tall and willowy beings that tower over any Earth animal, yet remain graceful in their movements. The legs of low-gravity creatures might be thin and elongated, more than adequate to support bodies that weigh little compared to their size. Walking might take on a bouncing quality, each step launching the body slightly into a prolonged arc before landing again. Movement might appear dreamlike to human observers, as if watching footage played in slow motion. The usual urgency of locomotion replaced by something more leisurely. Flight on low-gravity worlds would be dramatically easier than on Earth, requiring less energy to stay aloft and less specialized anatomy to achieve lift. Creatures too large to fly here might drift through alien skies with ease. Their wings or gas bladders or other lifting structures more than adequate to overcome the gentle downward pull. Aerial ecosystems might be richer and more diverse than anything Earth possesses, with creatures of all sizes spending most or all of their lives on the wing. The vegetation of low-gravity worlds might grow tall beyond anything familiar, limited not by structural strength, but by other factors like nutrient transport or light availability. Imagine forests where trees reach hundreds of meters, their trunks slender pillars, supporting canopies that exist in a realm almost separated from the ground. Creatures living in these elevated forests might never descend. Entire ecosystems existing in the canopy with no ecological connection to the surface below. Atmosphere shapes alien life as profoundly as gravity, determining what gases are available for respiration, how much radiation reaches surfaces, and how practical flight becomes. A thick atmosphere, denser than Earth's, provides more lift per unit area of wing, making flight easier and potentially allowing passive floating for organisms that can maintain lower density than their surroundings. Creatures in dense atmospheres might drift like balloons, barely needing to expend energy to stay aloft, filtering food from the air as they float. The composition of the atmosphere determines what metabolism is possible, which chemical reactions can power life. On Earth, oxygen-breathing organisms dominate, but this is a historical contingency rather than a cosmic necessity. Aliens might breathe hydrogen and exhale methane, might breathe carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, might use chemical cycles utterly unfamiliar from Earth biochemistry. The gases they respire would be as natural to them as oxygen is to us. Their bodies adapted to extract energy from whatever reactions their world's chemistry permits. Atmospheric pressure affects body design in subtle ways, influencing how gases dissolve in body fluids and how difficult it is to move air in and out of respiratory organs. High-pressure atmospheres allow more gas to dissolve in liquid at a given concentration, potentially enabling smaller respiratory surfaces for a given metabolic rate. Low-pressure atmospheres require larger lungs or gills to extract adequate gases, potentially leading to barrel-chested creatures with prominent respiratory anatomy. The color of the sky, determined by atmospheric composition and the spectrum of the parent star, would influence how aliens perceive their world, and perhaps how they are colored themselves. Under a red sun with a hazy atmosphere, the world might appear in shades of orange and brown that human eyes would find monotonous, while alien eyes, attuned to the available wavelengths, might perceive a rich tapestry of subtle variation. Camouflage and display coloration would evolve to match the available light, producing creatures whose appearance makes sense only under their native illumination. The liquid medium in which much alien life might exist imposes constraints that differ fundamentally from those faced by air-breathing land dwellers. Water is roughly 800 times denser than air, meaning that movement through water requires pushing against substantial resistance. Streamlined shapes are the inevitable response, bodies tapered at both ends to minimize drag, with smooth surfaces that let water flow past without turbulence. Any alien swimmers would likely show this streamlining regardless of their ancestry or biochemistry. The buoyancy provided by water supports body weight, liberating aquatic creatures from the structural constraints that dominate on land. Marine mammals grow far larger than any land mammal because the water holds them up, relieving their skeletons of the burden of support. Alien swimmers might reach sizes vastly exceeding anything possible on land, their internal structures serving for propulsion and protection rather than weight-bearing, their bodies freed to grow in proportion to available resources. Swimming locomotion takes several forms on Earth, including the undulation of fish, the paddling of limbs, and the jet propulsion of cephalopods. Alien swimmers might use any of these methods, or might find solutions that Earth life has not explored, perhaps electromagnetic propulsion if their biochemistry generates suitable currents. Perhaps manipulation of buoyancy to rise and sink through the water column without muscular effort. The possibilities are constrained by physics, but not by precedent. In the darkness of ice-covered oceans like those beneath Europa or Enceladus, light serves no purpose for navigation or food finding, and visual systems would be absent or vestigial. Alien creatures in these environments might perceive their world through chemical senses, detecting the compounds that diffuse through the water from food sources or potential mates. They might use pressure sensitivity to detect the movements of nearby creatures, or echolocation, like Earth's dolphins, or senses we have not imagined because Earth's evolutionary history never produced them. Temperature regimes vary enormously across the worlds of our solar system and beyond, and life must be adapted to whatever thermal conditions prevail in its environment. On Earth, life exists from near-boiling hot springs to frozen Antarctic ice, a range of over 100 degrees Celsius. But even this impressive range represents only a tiny fraction of the temperatures found on other worlds. Alien life might exist at temperatures far higher or lower than any Earth organism can tolerate. Hot worlds, receiving intense radiation from nearby stars or heated by volcanic activity, might host life adapted to temperatures that would cook any Earth creature instantly. Such organisms would require biochemistry stable at high temperatures, molecular structures that maintain their shapes and functions when thermal energy threatens to shake them apart. The proteins that perform most biological functions on Earth become useless at high temperatures, unfolding into disordered tangles. But alien biochemistry might use more robust molecular structures, or might use entirely different categories of molecules. Cold worlds present different challenges, as low temperatures slow chemical reactions and can freeze the liquids that life requires. Alien life in cold environments might use different solvents than water, liquids that remain fluid at temperatures where water becomes ice. Ammonia freezes at minus 78 degrees Celsius, methane at minus 182 degrees, and various other compounds remain liquid at temperatures far below water's freezing point. Life using these alternative solvents could function in environments that would instantly freeze any Earth organism. The metabolic rate of cold-adapted aliens might be far slower than what we consider normal, their chemical reactions proceeding at paces that would seem glacial by Earth standards. A heartbeat per hour rather than per second, a thought per day rather than per millisecond. Such creatures would be patient beyond human comprehension, their lifespans perhaps measured in what we would call millennia, their subjective experience of time utterly different from ours. The radiation environment of a world shapes what body surfaces look like and what protective measures life must evolve. Earth's magnetic field and ozone layer protect surface life from most harmful radiation. But other worlds might lack these shields, exposing life to ultraviolet rays, X-rays, or charged particles that damage DNA and other biological molecules. Aliens on such worlds might be heavily pigmented to absorb radiation before it reaches sensitive tissues, or might live underground or underwater, where rock and liquid provide shielding. Worlds orbiting red dwarf stars face a particular radiation challenge, as these stars produce frequent flares that can increase their ultraviolet and X-ray output by factors of thousands for periods of minutes to hours. Life on planets in these systems would need to either tolerate these radiation bursts, shelter from them, or repair the damage they cause. Evolution might produce thick radiation-resistant hides, burrowing behaviors that retreat underground during stellar activity, or sophisticated DNA repair mechanisms that fix radiation damage faster than it accumulates. The presence or absence of a magnetic field affects what radiation reaches a planet's surface, and also influences what elements are available for biology. Planets without magnetic fields lose their atmospheres more rapidly to solar wind stripping and receive more charged particle radiation at their surfaces. Life on such worlds would need to be radiation tolerant and might need to survive with thinner atmospheres than Earth possesses, adapting to lower pressures and less shielding. Radiation can also be an energy source for life, as certain organisms on Earth derive energy from radioactive decay in deep rocks. Alien life in environments without starlight might similarly tap into radioactive energy, their metabolisms powered by the decay of unstable atoms in their environment. Such life would be independent of stellar energy entirely, potentially existing on rogue planets drifting through interstellar space, or deep within planetary crusts, far from any surface. The constraints we have explored, gravity, atmosphere, light, temperature, radiation, would all combine on any particular world to create a specific set of conditions that alien life must address. The next part examines the chemistry that underlies alien biology, the molecular foundations that determine what materials alien bodies can be built from. The question of what alien life is made of underlies all other questions about its appearance, because the molecules that build bodies determine what structures are possible and what environments are tolerable. Earth life is built from carbon compounds dissolved in water, a combination so successful that it has produced everything from bacteria to blue whales, from lichens to sequoias, from tube worms at volcanic vents to snow algae on glaciers. Carbon and water might be equally successful throughout the universe. Or alternatives might exist that we have not yet imagined. Carbon's special status in Earth biochemistry reflects its chemical versatility, its ability to form stable bonds with up to 4 other atoms simultaneously, creating chains and rings and 3-dimensional structures of almost unlimited complexity. No other element matches carbon's ability to form large, complex molecules while remaining stable at the temperatures where liquid water exists. Silicon, often proposed as an alternative, can form 4 bonds like carbon, but produces less stable and less varied compounds, particularly in the presence of oxygen and water. The proteins that perform most biological functions on Earth are carbon-based polymers, long chains of amino acid subunits folded into precise 3-dimensional shapes that determine their properties. Enzymes that catalyze chemical reactions, structural proteins that provide strength and flexibility, receptors that detect signals, transport proteins that move materials, all are carbon compounds. Any alien life using carbon would likely have analogous molecules, though the specific subunits and structures might differ from Earth's biochemistry. DNA and RNA, the molecules that store and transmit genetic information on Earth, are also carbon compounds, chains of nucleotides carrying coded instructions for building proteins. Alien genetics might use different coding molecules, perhaps with more or fewer letter types in their alphabet. Perhaps with different sugar phosphate backbones, perhaps with entirely different chemical categories of information-carrying molecules. The principle of heredity, that organisms pass information to their offspring, would remain, even if the molecular implementation differs. Water serves as the solvent in which Earth biochemistry occurs. The liquid medium that dissolves reactants and allows them to encounter each other, that maintains the shapes of biological molecules, that participates directly in many metabolic reactions. Water's unusual properties, its density maximum at 4 degrees Celsius, its high heat capacity, its excellent solvent qualities, make it extraordinarily well suited for supporting complex chemistry. Life on Earth is fundamentally water life. Every cell a tiny aquarium. Water is abundant throughout the universe. One of the most common molecules formed when hydrogen and oxygen combine under ordinary conditions. The ice on comets, the frost on Mars, the subsurface oceans of Europa and Enceladus, the atmospheres of distant exoplanets. Water appears everywhere we look. If water-based life can arise, the raw materials for it exist across the cosmos, waiting only for conditions that allow liquid water to persist long enough for chemistry to become biology. Yet water freezes at temperatures still relatively warm by cosmic standards, limiting water-based life to environments where temperatures remain above 0 degrees Celsius. Vast regions of the universe are colder than this, from the outer solar system to the space between stars, environments where water exists only as ice. If life can arise using solvents other than water, it might exist in these cold regions where water-based life cannot function. Ammonia is often proposed as an alternative solvent, a liquid that remains fluid at temperatures far below water's freezing point. Ammonia freezes at -78 degrees Celsius and boils at -33 degrees at Earth's atmospheric pressure, providing a liquid range shifted far into the cold compared to water. Life using ammonia as a solvent could exist on worlds too cold for water-based life. perhaps including Titan's frigid surface, where ammonia-water mixtures might exist beneath the methane lakes. The properties of ammonia differ from water in ways that would shape any ammonia-based life, making it truly alien in its biochemistry, even if superficially similar in its structures. Ammonia is a better solvent for many organic molecules than water is, potentially allowing more complex chemistry, but it is also more chemically reactive, potentially making stable biological structures harder to maintain. The balance between these effects would determine whether ammonia-based life is possible. Methane and ethane represent even more exotic possibilities. Liquids that exist at the extremely low temperatures of Titan's surface, around -180 degrees Celsius. These hydrocarbons are poor solvents compared to water or ammonia, dissolving fewer types of molecules and providing less support for complex chemistry. Yet they are the only stable liquids on Titan's surface, meaning any life there would have to use them or find no liquid at all. The possibility of methane-based life remains highly speculative, requiring biochemistry so different from Earth's that we struggle to imagine how it would work. The chemical reactions that could power metabolism in liquid methane would release far less energy than Earth's oxygen-based respiration, suggesting any such life would be slow and sluggish by our standards. Yet slow life is still life, and billions of years of evolution might produce remarkable complexity even from such unpromising beginnings. Sulfuric acid has been proposed as a possible solvent for life in the clouds of Venus, where temperatures and pressures allow this corrosive liquid to exist in droplet form. Any life in this environment would need biochemistry resistant to conditions that would destroy Earth organisms instantly. Molecular structures stable in one of the most chemically aggressive environments imaginable. The existence of such life seems improbable, but the universe has surprised us before. Beyond the question of solvents lies the question of what elements build the structural and functional molecules of alien life. The atoms that link together into the compounds that make bodies. Earth life uses primarily carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur, with smaller amounts of many other elements playing supporting roles. These elements are all abundant products of stellar nucleosynthesis, available wherever stars have enriched the interstellar medium with their processed material. Nitrogen is essential for Earth proteins and nucleic acids, providing the amino groups that define amino acids and the bases that encode genetic information. Phosphorus links nucleotides together in DNA and RNA and powers cellular energy transfer through adenosine triphosphate. Sulfur forms bridges that stabilize protein shapes and participates in various metabolic reactions. All these elements would likely be available on any world where complex chemistry is possible. Silicon is often discussed as an alternative to carbon for building biological molecules capable of forming 4 bonds, like carbon, and producing some similar structures. Silicon life appears in science fiction regularly, usually imagined as rock-like creatures fundamentally different from carbon-based organisms. The reality is more complicated. Silicon-oxygen bonds are extremely stable, meaning silicon compounds tend to form inert rocks rather than the reactive molecules needed for life. Silicon-based life, if possible at all, would likely exist under conditions very different from Earth's. At high temperatures, where carbon compounds become unstable, silicon might become more viable as a basis for biochemistry. Some researchers have speculated about silicon-based life in volcanic environments or in the atmospheres of stars, where temperatures exceed what carbon chemistry can tolerate. Such life would be exotic beyond our current ability to imagine it in detail, operating under conditions lethal to anything we know. The energy sources available to alien life would shape its metabolism and influence its appearance. As organisms must acquire energy somehow, and the means of acquisition affects body design. Earth life uses two primary energy sources: sunlight captured by photosynthesis, and chemical energy extracted from food or environmental compounds. Alien life would face the same basic need for energy, satisfied through whatever sources their environments provide. Photosynthesis requires pigments that absorb light energy, and the spectrum of available light determines what pigments are useful. Earth's chlorophyll absorbs primarily blue and red light, reflecting green and giving plants their characteristic color. Under a red dwarf star, where most light is red and infrared, different pigments would be optimal, perhaps absorbing across the entire visible spectrum and appearing black to human eyes. Alien plants might be dark rather than green, their photosynthetic pigments tuned to their star's output. Chemical energy sources are available even where light is absent, powering the ecosystems around deep-sea hydrothermal vents on Earth, and potentially supporting life in the lightless oceans beneath icy moons. Chemosynthetic organisms extract energy from reactions between environmental compounds, such as the oxidation of hydrogen sulfide or methane. Alien life in subsurface oceans would likely be chemosynthetic, its metabolism powered by chemical gradients rather than starlight. More exotic energy sources might power alien life in environments we would not expect to support biology. Radioactive decay provides energy independent of any star, potentially supporting life deep within planetary crusts or on rogue planets drifting through interstellar space. Tidal heating, generated by gravitational flexing, warms the interiors of moons like Europa and Enceladus, potentially providing energy for ecosystems that receive no significant starlight. The universe offers many energy sources, and life might tap any of them. The chemistry of alien life determines what it is made of at the molecular level. But this foundation supports structures at larger scales: cells, tissues, organs, bodies. The next part explores how evolution produces similar solutions to similar problems, suggesting that some alien features might be surprisingly familiar. Evolution on Earth has produced a remarkable phenomenon that may extend across the universe: the independent invention of similar solutions to similar problems by unrelated lineages, a process called convergent evolution. Eyes have evolved independently dozens of times, in creatures as different as jellyfish and vertebrates, squid and spiders, providing a striking example of how the same challenge, detecting light, leads to similar solutions across the tree of life. If this pattern holds beyond Earth, aliens might share features with terrestrial organisms, despite having no shared ancestry whatsoever. The camera eye, with its lens focusing light onto a retina, has evolved separately in vertebrates and cephalopods, two lineages that diverged over 500 million years ago. The eyes function almost identically, using similar optical principles to form images, yet evolved from completely different starting points through completely independent evolutionary histories. This convergence suggests that the camera eye is not an arbitrary invention, but something like an optimal solution to a particular problem, discovered independently by evolution whenever the conditions are right. Streamlined body shapes provide another example, appearing in fish, dolphins, ichthyosaurs, and even penguins, animals from different classes and eras that all needed to move efficiently through water. The physics of water movement imposes constraints that evolution cannot evade, and any lineage that swims for a living eventually converges on similar hydrodynamic solutions. Alien swimmers in alien oceans would likely show similar streamlining, their bodies shaped by the same physical principles that shaped Earth's marine creatures. Wings have evolved at least 4 times independently on Earth, in insects, pterosaurs, birds, and bats. Each group developed flight from different starting points using different anatomical structures, yet all arrived at broadly similar solutions, involving membranes or feathers extended on modified limbs. If flight is advantageous wherever atmospheres permit it, alien flyers might have wings recognizable as such to human observers, even if the details of their anatomy differ from anything on Earth. The explanation for convergent evolution lies in the universality of the problems life faces and the limited range of solutions that physics and chemistry permit. Light exists throughout the universe, and detecting it provides useful information about the environment, so light-sensing organs evolve wherever light is available. Water has the same properties everywhere, so streamlined shapes emerge in any aquatic environment. Gravity and atmosphere constrain flight in predictable ways, so wings converge on similar designs whether they evolved in the Carboniferous or on a planet around another star. This reasoning leads to a prediction about alien life that might seem surprising. Some aliens might look familiar, even eerily so, displaying features that remind us of Earth organisms despite having no connection to our planet's evolutionary history. We might recognize eyes, even if the molecular details of vision differ. We might recognize legs or fins, even if the underlying skeletal structures evolved independently. We might recognize predators and prey, even if the specific organisms fill these roles differently than on Earth. The convergence would be imperfect, of course, with alien organisms differing from Earth life in countless details while sharing broad functional similarities. An alien eye might use completely different light-sensitive molecules than vertebrate rhodopsin, yet still form images through a lens like ours. An alien wing might be structured completely differently from a bird's feather or a bat's membrane, yet still generate lift through the same aerodynamic principles. The similarities would be functional rather than historical, arising from shared physics rather than shared ancestry. Some researchers argue that this convergent reasoning can be extended to predict features of intelligent aliens, if any exist. Intelligence on Earth emerged in social animals with manipulative appendages, sensory organs concentrated near the brain, and extended parental care. These features might be prerequisites for technology-building intelligence, suggesting that intelligent aliens would share them even if their specific biology differs enormously from ours. Yet we must be careful not to overextend the argument from convergence. as some features of Earth life might be historical contingents rather than inevitable solutions to universal problems. The specific number of limbs in vertebrates, 4, reflects an ancestral fish that happened to have 4 fin-like structures rather than any deeper necessity. Aliens might have 2 limbs, or 6, or 8, depending on the accidents of their own evolutionary history, rather than any universal principle. The bilateral symmetry of most complex Earth animals, with left and right sides that are mirror images, might be another contingent feature rather than a necessity. Some organisms on Earth break this symmetry, including flatfish with both eyes on one side and fiddler crabs with one enlarged claw. Aliens might be radially symmetric like starfish, or asymmetric in ways we have not imagined, their body plans reflecting evolutionary histories with no parallel on Earth. The separation of body functions into distinct organs, hearts for pumping blood, lungs for breathing, brains for thinking, is another feature that might or might not be universal. Distributed systems could in principle perform the same functions, with processing spread throughout the body rather than concentrated in a single brain, with gas exchange occurring across general body surfaces rather than specialized lungs. We cannot assume that aliens will have body plans organized like ours. The question of how much convergence to expect in alien life remains genuinely open, answered differently by researchers with different perspectives on the relative importance of constraint versus contingency in evolution. The truth probably lies somewhere between perfect convergence and complete unpredictability, with some features recurring across biospheres, while others vary arbitrarily. One area where convergence seems particularly likely is in the basic challenges that all life must solve: acquiring energy, obtaining materials for growth and reproduction, avoiding threats, finding mates. These challenges are not specific to Earth, but arise wherever life exists, suggesting that the solutions might also show universal features. Predation appears wherever life exists on Earth, from bacteria that engulf other bacteria to lions that hunt zebras, and would likely appear in any biosphere complex enough to include multiple species. The advantages of consuming other organisms rather than producing one's own food from raw materials are too great for evolution to ignore, meaning predators would evolve on any world with sufficient biological complexity. Alien predators might look different from Earth's carnivores in countless ways, yet would share the basic features that predation requires: senses to detect prey, mobility to pursue it, means to capture and consume it. Photosynthesis has evolved at least once on Earth, possibly twice, and provides such enormous advantages, access to the essentially unlimited energy of starlight, that it would likely evolve wherever conditions permit. Alien photosynthesizers might use different pigments and different biochemistry than Earth plants, but they would share the basic strategy of capturing light energy and using it to build organic molecules from simpler precursors. Social behavior has evolved many times on Earth, in insects and mammals and birds and fish, providing advantages in predator defense, food acquisition, and offspring care. Aliens complex enough to benefit from cooperation might show similar social tendencies, living in groups and coordinating their activities in ways that would be recognizable as social behavior, even if the specific details differ. The interplay of convergent and contingent features makes predicting alien appearances genuinely difficult. A problem without a clear answer, given current knowledge. The next part focuses on microbial life, the form that alien biology is most likely to take when we first encounter it. When humanity finally discovers life beyond Earth, that life will almost certainly be microscopic. Single-celled organisms invisible to the naked eye, detectable only through careful analysis of samples or remote sensing of atmospheric chemistry. This prediction is not pessimistic, but realistic, reflecting both the nature of life itself and the practical constraints on what we can detect across the vast distances that separate us from other worlds. Microbial life dominates Earth by every measure that matters, by numbers, by biomass, by metabolic diversity, by temporal duration, by environmental range. Bacteria and archaea outnumber all other organisms combined by many orders of magnitude, outweigh all animals, and occupy environments from volcanic vents to Antarctic ice that complex life cannot tolerate. For more than 3 billion years, microbial life was the only life on Earth. Complex organisms appearing only in the last 500 million years. If Earth's history is any guide, alien biospheres would be dominated by microbes as well. The reasons for microbial dominance are fundamental, rooted in the physics of being small and the chemistry of being simple. Small organisms can grow and reproduce rapidly, exploiting resources before larger competitors can respond. Simple biochemistry can operate in a wider range of environments than the complex coordinated chemistry required for multicellularity. Evolution finds microbial solutions to life's challenges more easily than it finds complex solutions, meaning microbes appear first and remain dominant. Complex life arises from microbial life through rare evolutionary transitions that may or may not occur in any given biosphere. The eukaryotic cell, with its nucleus and organelles, arose through the merger of different microbial lineages in an event that may have happened only once in Earth's history. Multicellularity arose multiple times, but still represents a minority of life's diversity. Complex macroscopic life is built on a microbial foundation and remains less common, less widespread, and less environmentally tolerant than its microscopic cousins. The appearance of alien microbes under a sufficiently powerful microscope would reveal forms shaped by the physics of being small, where different forces dominate than at the scales we experience directly. At microscopic scales, viscosity matters more than inertia. Surfaces matter more than volumes, and Brownian motion jostles particles in random directions. These physical realities shape what microbes look like, regardless of their biochemistry or evolutionary history. The geometry of alien microbes might include spheres, rods, spirals, and other simple shapes familiar from Earth's microbial world. Forms that reflect efficient solutions to the challenges of existing at microscopic scales. Spheres minimize surface area for a given volume, conserving resources. Rods provide more surface area for nutrient absorption while maintaining structural integrity. Spirals may facilitate movement through viscous fluids. These shapes would likely recur in alien microbes because they solve problems that physics makes universal. Cell membranes, boundaries separating the interior of a cell from its environment, would likely exist in some form in alien microbes, as compartmentalization is essential for maintaining the chemical conditions necessary for biochemistry. The specific molecules forming these membranes might differ from the phospholipids that Earth life uses, but the basic structure, a barrier selectively permeable to certain molecules, would likely be preserved. Any alien microbe would have an inside and an outside, separated by something functionally equivalent to a membrane. Internal structures organizing the cell's chemistry might vary more than external shapes, reflecting different evolutionary solutions to the problem of coordinating metabolism. Earth's prokaryotes lack membrane-bound organelles, while eukaryotes compartmentalize functions into distinct structures like mitochondria and nuclei. Alien microbes might show neither pattern or both, or something we have not imagined. Their internal organization reflecting their own evolutionary history rather than Earth's. The metabolism of alien microbes, how they acquire energy and materials for growth, would likely show greater diversity than their shapes, as metabolism depends on environmental chemistry which varies enormously across worlds. Earth microbes already display remarkable metabolic diversity, obtaining energy from light, from organic compounds, from hydrogen, from sulfur, from iron, from dozens of different chemical reactions. Alien microbes would exploit whatever energy sources their environments provide. In the ocean beneath Europa's ice, microbes might obtain energy from chemical reactions at hydrothermal vents, oxidizing hydrogen or sulfur compounds, much as Earth's chemosynthetic bacteria do. In the methane lakes of Titan, if life exists there at all, metabolism would necessarily be based on completely different chemistry. Perhaps hydrogenation reactions that release tiny amounts of energy under conditions too cold for Earth-style biochemistry. On Mars, if microbial life persists in subsurface aquifers, it might metabolize perchlorate salts or other compounds abundant in Martian soil. The genetic systems of alien microbes, their means of storing and transmitting information across generations, represent one of the most uncertain aspects of hypothetical extraterrestrial biochemistry. Earth life uses DNA and RNA, nucleic acids encoding information in sequences of 4 nucleotide bases, but this specific system might be one of many possible solutions to the problem of heredity. Alien genetics might use different nucleotides, different numbers of bases, different backbone chemistry, or entirely different categories of information-storing molecules. The universality of the genetic code across Earth life suggests that the DNA-RNA protein system arose once and was inherited by all subsequent organisms, a historical contingent rather than an inevitable solution. Alien life arising independently would likely use a different system, not necessarily better or worse than ours, but simply different, a parallel solution to the same problem discovered by a separate evolutionary process. The detection of alien microbes presents substantial challenges, as single-celled organisms cannot be seen from light years away and leave only subtle traces in their environments. If we find alien microbes, it will likely be either through direct sample collection from nearby worlds, like Mars or Europa, or through detection of atmospheric biosignature gases produced by microbial metabolism on exoplanets. Sample return missions from Mars, currently in the planning stages, represent perhaps the best near-term opportunity to discover alien microbes. Samples of Martian rock and soil, returned to Earth laboratories for analysis, could be examined with the full power of modern microscopy and biochemistry. Any microbial life present, living or fossilized, might be detected through microscopic imaging, chemical analysis, or genetic sequencing attempts. The ocean moons Europa and Enceladus offer even more promising targets. Their subsurface oceans potentially harboring microbial ecosystems that have existed for billions of years. Future missions to these moons might sample the ice crust, the plumes erupting from Enceladus, or eventually the ocean itself, searching for cells or organic molecules that would indicate biological activity. Such missions are technically challenging but scientifically compelling. Atmospheric biosignatures offer a different path to detecting microbial life, one applicable to exoplanets beyond our ability to sample directly. If alien microbes produce gases that accumulate in their planet's atmosphere, oxygen from photosynthesis, methane from methanogenesis, both together indicating biological activity, spectroscopic observations might reveal their presence from light years away. This indirect detection would tell us life exists without telling us what it looks like, but would still represent a discovery of profound importance. The microbial life we are most likely to discover first sets the stage for considering more complex possibilities. The next part explores what larger organisms might look like in alien oceans. Oceans may be the most common habitat for life in the universe. Vast volumes of liquid water, providing the medium in which biochemistry thrives and the stability that complex organisms require. Earth's oceans harbor life from the sunlit surface waters to the crushing depths of the abyssal trenches, a diversity of environments matched by a diversity of forms. Alien oceans, whether on exoplanets orbiting distant stars or hidden beneath the ice of moons in our own solar system, might show similar diversity. The subsurface oceans of Europa and Enceladus represent the most accessible alien seas, bodies of liquid water hidden beneath kilometers of ice, heated by tidal flexing rather than by starlight. These oceans exist in permanent darkness, disconnected from any surface, potentially hosting ecosystems that have never known light or sky. Any life in these environments would be adapted to conditions utterly unlike those familiar to surface-dwelling organisms on Earth. In the darkness beneath Europa's ice, creatures might navigate by senses other than vision, detecting pressure waves, chemical gradients, electrical fields, or magnetic patterns to orient themselves and find food. They might be slow-moving and energy-efficient, conserving resources in an environment where food is scarce compared to sunlit surface waters. They might cluster around hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, where mineral-rich hot water provides both energy and nutrients. The appearance of such creatures is genuinely difficult to imagine, as we have no experience with complex life that has evolved entirely in darkness over billions of years. On Earth, cave-adapted animals often lose their eyes and pigmentation over evolutionary time, becoming pale and blind, as these features provide no advantage in lightless environments. Alien organisms that never had eyes in their evolutionary history might lack anything resembling a face as we understand it. The pressure in deep alien oceans would influence body structure, as organisms must withstand the weight of kilometers of water pressing down on them from above. Earth's deep-sea creatures show various adaptations to high pressure, including flexible bodies that compress without damage, biochemistry that functions under conditions that would crush surface organisms, and lack of gas-filled spaces that would implode under pressure. Alien deep-sea organisms would likely show similar adaptations. Bioluminescence might be common in alien oceans even if no surface light penetrates, as organisms produce their own light for various purposes, attracting mates, luring prey, confusing predators, illuminating surroundings to hunt. In Earth's deep oceans, bioluminescence is remarkably widespread, with the majority of species producing light of some kind. Alien oceans in permanent darkness might glow with the light of living organisms, points of cold fire drifting through the lightless water. The colors of bioluminescence would depend on the visual systems of the organisms producing and perceiving it, which in turn would depend on whatever light-detecting chemistry alien biochemistry had developed. Blue light travels farthest through water and dominates deep-sea bioluminescence on Earth, but alien oceans might glow with different colors. If alien visual pigments are tuned to different wavelengths, green or red bioluminescence might illuminate alien seas. Swimming locomotion would likely be common in alien oceans, as the buoyancy of water supports bodies and reduces the energy cost of movement compared to locomotion on land. The specific form of swimming might vary, with alien creatures propelling themselves through undulating bodies, paddling limbs, jet propulsion, or mechanisms we have not imagined. The physics of moving through liquid constrains the possibilities but does not determine a unique solution. Ocean worlds, planets entirely or mostly covered by water, might host life throughout enormous volumes of liquid. Ecosystems existing at depths and scales that make Earth's oceans seem like puddles. Some exoplanets appear to be covered by global oceans hundreds of kilometers deep, water worlds without any dry land, where the only surfaces are the ice ceiling above and the high-pressure ice floor below. Life on such worlds would be entirely aquatic, never having evolved the adaptations necessary for survival on land. There would be no fish crawling onto shores, no amphibians bridging water and land, no lineages diversifying into the empty terrestrial niches. Every organism would be a swimmer or a floater or a bottom dweller, the full diversity of life exploring only the possibilities that water provides. The absence of continents would limit nutrient cycling in ways that might constrain the productivity of ocean world ecosystems, as the weathering of rocks and the runoff of minerals that fertilize Earth's oceans would not occur. Life might be sparse and slow-growing, limited by the availability of essential elements, or might have found alternative nutrient sources that Earth life does not exploit. Deep ocean worlds might have floors of high-pressure ice rather than rock. Water compressed by immense pressure into solid phases even at temperatures above normal freezing. This ice floor would separate the ocean from any rocky core, potentially cutting off the hydrothermal activity that might otherwise support chemosynthetic ecosystems. Life in such oceans would need to find energy and nutrients elsewhere, perhaps from the ice itself, or from organic materials sinking from upper layers. The surfaces of ocean worlds receiving starlight would support photosynthetic ecosystems if life had evolved to capture that light. Green or black or purple layers of organism floating near the surface where light penetrates the water. These photosynthesizers would form the base of food webs, converting stellar energy into organic matter that other organisms could consume. Floating forests of photosynthetic organisms might cover vast areas of alien ocean surfaces, drifting with currents and providing habitat for creatures that live among their fronds. Animals analogous to fish might graze these floating forests, hunted in turn by larger predators, creating food webs as complex as any on Earth. The scene would be strange to human eyes, yet recognizable as an ecosystem. Storms on ocean worlds would disturb the surface layers, mixing nutrients from depth and perhaps destroying the floating ecosystems that depend on calm conditions. Life would need to adapt to periodic disruption, either riding out storms in protected refuges or recovering quickly after disturbance. Seasonal patterns of storm activity, if any existed, might drive cycles of growth and dormancy. The intelligent species, if any, that might evolve on an ocean world would necessarily be aquatic. Their technology developed without fire or metal in forms we can barely imagine. They might never look up at the stars, living always beneath the waves, ignorant of the cosmos beyond their world. Or they might develop technologies beyond our understanding, finding paths to knowledge that do not require the steps we took. The next part shifts from oceans to land, exploring what creatures might walk across the solid surfaces of habitable worlds. Terrestrial environments impose constraints utterly different from those of water, demanding adaptations that aquatic organisms do not require, and opening possibilities that water does not permit. Life that colonizes land must support its own weight, without the buoyancy that water provides, must prevent itself from drying out in air, must extract oxygen from atmosphere rather than from dissolved gases, must locomote without the resistance that water offers. These challenges shape what land-dwelling aliens might look like. The transition from water to land occurred multiple times in Earth's history, with fish, arthropods, and mollusks all making the journey independently. Each lineage brought its own evolutionary baggage and developed its own solutions to terrestrial challenges, producing the diversity of land-dwelling creatures we see today. Alien biospheres with different evolutionary histories would likely produce different solutions, landing on different body plans for similar reasons. Skeletal support is essential for large land-dwelling organisms, as bodies will collapse without some rigid structure to maintain shape against gravity. Earth vertebrates use internal skeletons of bone or cartilage, while arthropods use external skeletons of chitin, and mollusks that venture onto land use muscular bodies that function only at small sizes. Alien land creatures might use any of these approaches, or might have developed entirely different structural solutions, perhaps using pressurized compartments or materials unknown on Earth. The number of limbs in land-dwelling aliens is genuinely unpredictable, as Earth's pattern of 4 limbs in vertebrates reflects the specific anatomy of ancestral fish rather than any universal principle. Alien walkers might have 2 limbs, 4, 6, 8, or more, depending on the accidents of their evolutionary history. Arthropod-like aliens might have many legs, while vertebrate-like aliens might have few. But these are Earth-centric assumptions that might not apply elsewhere. Locomotion on land takes many forms, even on Earth. including walking, running, hopping, crawling, slithering, and brachiation through trees. Aliens might use any of these modes, or might move in ways we have not anticipated. Perhaps rolling like tumbleweeds, perhaps bouncing on spring-like appendages, perhaps using coordinated contractions of segmented bodies. Low-gravity worlds might permit hopping as a primary locomotion mode, even for large creatures, while high-gravity worlds might favor sprawling gaits that keep bodies close to the ground. The surfaces that alien creatures walk upon would influence foot structure, as different substrates require different adaptations. Soft sand or mud favors broad feet that spread weight across larger areas, while hard rock permits smaller feet with better grip. Climbing surfaces require grasping appendages or adhesive structures, while swimming through leaf litter or soil requires pointed or wedge-shaped bodies. Alien feet would reflect the surfaces of alien worlds. Sensory organs on land-dwelling aliens would be adapted to detecting information transmitted through air rather than water, requiring different structures than aquatic senses employ. Sound travels differently through air than through water, and alien ears might be structured accordingly. Airborne chemicals reach olfactory organs in different concentrations and patterns than waterborne chemicals, shaping alien noses or their equivalents. Light is less filtered by air than by water, potentially favoring different visual pigments and eye structures. The faces of land-dwelling aliens, if they concentrate sensory organs near their brains, as Earth vertebrates do, might or might not resemble faces as we understand them. Eyes might be positioned differently, noses might be absent or replaced by entirely different chemical sensing structures, and ears might be invisible or located in unexpected places. The arrangement of facial features reflects evolutionary history as much as functional necessity. Respiration on land requires extracting oxygen from air rather than from water, a challenge that Earth life has solved in multiple ways. Lungs, the respiratory organs of land vertebrates, are internal chambers where air contacts moist surfaces for gas exchange. Tracheae, the respiratory system of insects, are networks of tubes carrying air directly to tissues throughout the body. Alien land breathers might use either system or something entirely different, their respiratory anatomy reflecting their own evolutionary solutions. The risk of desiccation drives many adaptations in land-dwelling organisms, as air is typically drier than water and tends to draw moisture out of exposed tissues. Waterproof coverings like skin, scales, or exoskeletons prevent water loss, while behavioral adaptations like seeking shade or being active at night reduce exposure to drying conditions. Alien land creatures would face the same challenge and would likely show similar adaptations, covered in some protective layer and perhaps behaviorally avoiding the driest conditions. Temperature regulation becomes more challenging on land than in water, as air temperatures vary more widely and more rapidly than water temperatures. Warm-blooded creatures maintain constant body temperatures through metabolic heat production and insulation, while cold-blooded creatures allow their temperatures to fluctuate with their environment. Alien land creatures might use either strategy, or might have developed hybrid approaches unknown on Earth. The vegetation of alien lands, the photosynthetic organisms that capture stellar energy and form the base of food webs, would likely look different from Earth's plants, reflecting different biochemistry and evolutionary history. Alien plants might be black or purple rather than green if their photosynthetic pigments absorb different wavelengths. They might lack true leaves, might not have woody stems, might reproduce in completely different ways, yet they would still convert light to chemical energy and provide food for other organisms. Predators and prey on alien lands would engage in the evolutionary arms races, familiar from Earth's ecosystems, driving adaptations and counter-adaptations in an endless cycle of improvement. Speed, stealth, armor, camouflage, venom, warning coloration. The strategies that characterize Earth's predator-prey relationships would likely recur wherever complex ecosystems develop, as the advantages they provide are universal. Alien predators would need to detect prey at a distance, using whatever senses are effective in their environment, then would need to pursue or ambush prey using speed, stealth, or both. They would need to capture prey using claws, teeth, tentacles, or other grasping structures, then consume it using digestive systems adapted to breaking down alien tissues. The details would differ from Earth predators, but the broad outlines would be recognizable. Alien prey would need to avoid predators through vigilance, speed, armor, camouflage, or group defense, strategies that all appear repeatedly in Earth's prey species. Herding behavior, alarm calls, protective coloration, and defensive weapons would likely recur wherever predation occurs, as these adaptations provide advantages regardless of the specific organisms involved. The complexity of alien terrestrial ecosystems would depend on the energy available, the stability of conditions over evolutionary time, and whatever historical contingencies shaped the development of life on that particular world. Simple ecosystems with few species might exist on marginally habitable worlds, while rich ecosystems rivaling Earth's diversity might develop where conditions are favorable and time has been sufficient. Having explored alien oceans and alien lands, the next part turns to alien skies, considering what creatures might fly, float, or drift through atmospheres of other worlds. The atmosphere of a planet represents an environment as real as its oceans or lands, a fluid medium through which organisms can move and in which they can potentially live their entire lives without touching the surface. On Earth, most atmospheric life is temporary. Birds and insects and bats returning to ground or vegetation to rest. But other worlds might support permanent atmospheric ecosystems, creatures that never touch down. Flight has evolved multiple times on Earth, in insects, pterosaurs, birds, and bats, each lineage developing wings and the physiological adaptations necessary for sustained aerial locomotion. This repeated independent evolution suggests that flight provides advantages significant enough to justify the considerable energy investment it requires. On other worlds, wherever atmospheres are thick enough and gravity gentle enough, we might expect flying creatures to evolve as well, perhaps multiple times. The basic physics of flight remains the same throughout the universe, governed by equations that relate wing area, air density, body mass, and velocity in ways that constrain what can fly and how. Larger creatures require proportionately larger wings or denser atmospheres to stay aloft, which is why Earth's largest flying animals have always been much smaller than its largest walkers. But on worlds with thicker atmospheres or lower gravity, the size limits would shift, potentially allowing aerial giants that would be impossible here. A planet with twice Earth's atmospheric density at the surface would allow creatures to generate twice as much lift for the same wing area and flight speed, opening possibilities for larger flyers or more energy-efficient flight for smaller ones. Such a world might be dominated by aerial life in ways Earth is not, with flying creatures filling ecological roles that walkers fill here. The skies might be as crowded with life as any forest or reef. Lower gravity would have similar effects, reducing the weight that wings must support and making flight mechanically easier for any given body size. A creature that could barely flutter on Earth might soar effortlessly on a world with half our gravity, while creatures far too massive to fly here might take to alien skies. The combination of thick atmosphere and low gravity would be particularly favorable, potentially producing aerial ecosystems of remarkable diversity. The forms of flying aliens would depend on the specific conditions of their worlds, but we can make educated guesses based on the physics of flight and the examples evolution has provided on Earth. Wings of some kind seem nearly universal for powered flight. Surfaces that generate lift by moving through air at appropriate angles. Whether these wings would be membranes stretched between elongated fingers like bat wings, feathered structures like bird wings, or something entirely different would depend on evolutionary history. Insect-style wings, rigid or semi-rigid structures, moved by muscles at their bases rather than within the wing itself, represent another successful solution that might appear on other worlds. This approach allows very rapid wing movements suitable for small creatures, enabling the hovering flight that makes hummingbirds and many insects so maneuverable. Alien insects, if they exist, might fly in ways recognizable to anyone who has watched a dragonfly or bee. More exotic flight mechanisms might also evolve under different conditions. Solutions that physics permits, but Earth evolution has not explored or has not retained. Jet propulsion squirting fluid backward to push the body forward works in water and could theoretically work in air for small creatures in dense atmospheres. Creatures might spin like maple seeds, using rotation to generate lift rather than flapping. The possibilities expand when we remove the assumption that alien flight must resemble Earth flight. The colors and patterns of flying aliens might be shaped by needs similar to those that color Earth's flyers. Camouflage against predators, warning signals about toxicity, displays for attracting mates, or species recognition markings. Under different stellar light, these colors might shift toward wavelengths we cannot see, with ultraviolet or infrared patterns invisible to human eyes, but vivid to creatures adapted to their local star's spectrum. Some of the most spectacular possibilities for atmospheric life exist not on rocky planets, but in the thick atmospheres of gas giants, worlds with no solid surface at all, where life, if it exists, must spend its entire existence aloft. Jupiter and Saturn have atmospheres extending thousands of kilometers deep, environments where pressure and temperature vary enormously with altitude, creating zones that might be habitable for appropriately adapted organisms. The concept of life in gas giant atmospheres was explored by Carl Sagan and others decades ago, imagining creatures he called floaters and sinkers and hunters that might populate the cloud layers of Jupiter. Floaters would be balloon-like organisms filled with hydrogen or hot gas, buoyant enough to maintain their altitude without effort, perhaps enormous in size because the support comes from buoyancy rather than structural strength. These floaters might drift through the clouds like living hot air balloons, grazing on organic molecules or smaller organisms, their size limited only by how much gas they could contain and how much envelope they could produce. Without solid ground to constrain them, such creatures might grow to enormous proportions, kilometers across, according to some speculative models, living mountains of gas-filled membrane. Sinkers would be creatures that cannot maintain neutral buoyancy and therefore sink through the atmosphere unless they actively swim or fly, much as fish sink if they stop swimming. These might be the predators of the gas giant ecosystem, hunting the floaters or each other, their bodies streamlined for movement through thick atmosphere rather than water. The atmosphere of a gas giant is not uniform but layered, with different chemical compositions, temperatures, and pressures at different altitudes. Life in such an environment would need to find zones where conditions are tolerable, avoiding both the frozen upper reaches and the crushing depths where pressures exceed what any known chemistry could withstand. The zone of habitability in a gas giant atmosphere might be relatively narrow, a band of altitudes where temperatures remain moderate and pressures allow organic chemistry to function. Within this band, creatures might migrate up and down with weather patterns or daily cycles, following resources or avoiding threats. Atmospheric ecosystems might be three-dimensional in ways that surface ecosystems are not. Weather on gas giants is violent by Earth standards, with storms larger than our entire planet persisting for centuries and wind speeds reaching hundreds of kilometers per hour. Life adapted to such conditions would need to cope with constant turbulence, either riding the winds passively or actively navigating through them. Creatures might evolve to exploit storms rather than avoid them, using the energy of atmospheric motion for transportation or hunting. The Great Red Spot of Jupiter has persisted for at least 400 years, a storm system larger than Earth that might represent a stable habitat for organisms adapted to its particular conditions. Such long-lasting features might serve as islands in the atmospheric ocean, concentration points for life that benefits from stability in an otherwise turbulent environment. Even on rocky planets with solid surfaces, atmospheric ecosystems might develop that have no direct equivalent on Earth. Communities of organisms that spend most or all of their lives aloft. Spores and pollen and small organisms float through Earth's atmosphere in enormous numbers, but they are typically dormant, waiting to land somewhere suitable rather than actively living while airborne. True atmospheric ecosystems would require primary producers capable of photosynthesis or chemosynthesis while floating. Organisms that could capture energy and build biomass without touching down. On worlds with very thick atmospheres where falling is slow and winds are steady, such floating primary producers might evolve, forming the base of food webs that exist entirely in the air. These aerial ecosystems might be invisible from the ground, existing high in the atmosphere where conditions differ significantly from the surface, supported by chemistry that has no ground-level expression. Planets that appear barren from orbit might host thriving communities in their upper atmospheres, life hiding in layers we would not think to examine. The detection of life in alien atmospheres might come through chemistry rather than direct observation of organisms. The presence of gases that biological processes produce, accumulating to detectable levels. Oxygen, mixed with methane, for instance, suggests ongoing production of both gases since they react with each other and would not coexist without continuous replenishment. The colors of alien skies would depend on atmospheric composition and the spectrum of the parent star, creating environments visually unlike anything on Earth. Under a red dwarf star, the sky might appear darker even at midday, with less blue scattering and more red wavelengths dominating. Flying creatures evolved under such light might have coloration we would find strange, adapted to wavelengths our eyes register poorly. On worlds with thick atmospheres rich in different gases, the sky might be orange or green, or colors we have no name for, depending on which wavelengths are absorbed and which scattered. The creatures flying through these alien skies would blend or contrast with their backgrounds in ways that made sense for their visual systems, not ours. Bioluminescence might be particularly important for atmospheric creatures in environments where ambient light is limited, whether due to thick clouds, dim stars, or permanent atmospheric haze. Glowing organisms might fill alien skies with points of light, displaying to each other in the darkness, creating spectacles as beautiful as any bioluminescent ocean on Earth. The thought of alien skies filled with living lights, creatures drifting and soaring and hunting through atmospheres utterly unlike our own, expands the imagination gently. These possibilities are not fantasies, but logical extensions of what we know about biology and physics. Predictions grounded in science, even when their details remain uncertain. The environments we have explored so far, oceans, land surfaces, atmospheres, are familiar enough that we can imagine life within them using Earth-based analogies as guides. Recognizable habitats that might host recognizable forms. But the universe contains environments so different from Earth's surface that the life within them, if any, exists, might be correspondingly strange, adapted to conditions we can barely conceptualize. Subsurface environments offer one example: the rock and sediment beneath planetary surfaces, where life might exist in pores and cracks and aquifers, never experiencing the sky or the surface conditions that we think of as normal. Earth hosts a substantial biosphere in its crust. Bacteria and archaea living in rock formations kilometers below the surface, deriving energy from chemical reactions rather than sunlight. This deep biosphere has existed for billions of years, largely independent of conditions at the surface, surviving mass extinctions and climate changes that devastated surface life. Similar subsurface biospheres might exist on other worlds, perhaps on worlds where surface conditions are too harsh for life, but underground environments remain stable and habitable. Life adapted to living inside rock would look nothing like surface creatures. Lacking eyes since there is no light to see, lacking streamlined bodies since there is no open space to move through. Lacking many features we associate with animals. These would be microbial creatures, bacteria or archaea, or analogous single-celled organisms, living in thin films of water, coating mineral grains. The detection of subsurface life would be extremely difficult, as such organisms would leave few traces visible from space, or even from the surface of their worlds. We might land on a planet that appears completely barren, never suspecting that kilometers beneath our instruments, a thriving biosphere carries on in the darkness. The universe might be full of inhabited worlds that we would classify as dead. Ice-covered ocean worlds like Europa and Enceladus represent another exotic environment where life might take unexpected forms, isolated from stellar radiation by kilometers of frozen shell, dependent entirely on internal heat sources for energy and warmth. Life in such environments would never see a sun, never experience a day-night cycle, never know that a universe exists beyond the ice ceiling of its ocean. The organisms in these ice-covered oceans might be recognizable as swimmers or drifters, similar in basic body plan to marine creatures on Earth, shaped by the same physics of movement through water. But their metabolisms would necessarily differ, powered by chemical energy from hydrothermal vents, rather than sunlight filtered through water, adapted to pressures and temperatures, unlike Earth's surface oceans. Creatures near hydrothermal vents, on ice, moon, ocean floors, might cluster around the warmth and chemical bounty, forming communities analogous to the vent ecosystems we have discovered in Earth's deep oceans. Giant tube worms and dense bacterial mats and strange pale crabs populate Earth's hydrothermal vents. Different, but perhaps equally strange creatures might populate alien vents. Worlds like Titan, Saturn's largest moon, offer even more exotic possibilities. Environments so cold that water is frozen as hard as rock, but other substances remain liquid. Titan's lakes and seas of liquid methane and ethane represent the only stable surface liquids known beyond Earth. Alternative solvents that might, just possibly, support alternative biochemistries. Life in liquid methane would need to be fundamentally different from Earth life at the molecular level, using cell membranes that remain flexible at -170 degrees Celsius, rather than the phospholipid membranes that work in Earth's temperature range. The chemistry of such organisms, if they exist, would be truly alien, not just different species, but a different kind of life altogether. The metabolic rates of Titan life would necessarily be extremely slow by Earth standards, as chemical reactions proceed sluggishly at such low temperatures. An organism that takes a year to complete, a reaction that would occur in seconds, on Earth would live at a different pace entirely, its conception of time utterly unlike our own. Whether such slow-motion life could evolve complexity, could develop behaviors beyond simple metabolism, remains an open question. Perhaps Titan-style life is limited to the simplest organisms, or perhaps 4 billion years of slow evolution can produce results as impressive as fast evolution has produced on Earth. We do not know, and we may not know until we examine such worlds in detail. Volcanic environments offer another exotic habitat, worlds where extreme heat rather than extreme cold defines the conditions for life. Earth's hot springs and hydrothermal systems host thermophilic organisms that thrive at temperatures that would kill most life, up to around 120 degrees Celsius for the most heat-tolerant known microbes. On more volcanically active worlds, or on worlds closer to their stars, even higher temperatures might prevail across large portions of the surface, creating environments where only the most extreme thermophiles could survive. Such worlds might host life based on chemistries that require high temperatures to function, using bonds that would be too stable at Earth temperatures. The minerals around volcanic vents provide diverse chemical gradients that life can exploit, energy sources that do not depend on stellar radiation. Worlds with active volcanism might therefore support life, even if they receive little light from their stars, heated from within rather than from without, independent of the habitable zone as traditionally defined. Life in volcanic environments might be colorful in unexpected ways, as many thermophilic organisms on Earth produce pigments that protect against the intense conditions they face. Brilliant oranges and yellows and reds color the hot springs of Yellowstone. Alien equivalents might paint volcanic regions of other worlds in hues equally vivid. Radiation environments represent yet another exotic condition. Worlds where high-energy radiation from nearby stars or from the worlds themselves creates challenges that Earth's surface life rarely faces. Some organisms on Earth are remarkably radiation-resistant, able to survive doses that would kill most life many times over. But these are exceptions rather than the rule. On worlds bathed in radiation from active stars or lacking protective magnetic fields and thick atmospheres, radiation resistance might be essential for survival, rather than an unusual specialty. Life on such worlds might incorporate heavy shielding into its structure, maintain extraordinary DNA repair capabilities, or simply live underground where rock provides protection. The appearance of radiation-adapted life might include features we would find strange, perhaps thick pigmented coverings that absorb harmful wavelengths, perhaps highly redundant genetic systems that can survive damage, perhaps behaviors that minimize exposure during the most intense radiation periods. Evolution would find solutions appropriate to the challenge. High-pressure environments like the depths of massive ocean worlds, where pressures exceed anything in Earth's seas, would impose their own constraints on life. Membranes and proteins must remain functional under pressure, requiring molecular adaptations that might significantly alter the appearance and behavior of organisms. Life in crushing depths would be compact and dense, structured to withstand forces that would destroy unprotected Earth organisms. The diversity of exotic environments in the universe almost certainly exceeds our current imagination, including conditions we have not yet considered and perhaps cannot yet conceive. Each environment imposes its own constraints and offers its own opportunities, shaping life toward forms that optimize survival and reproduction under local conditions. This diversity means that the creatures inhabiting the universe, if life is indeed widespread, would be correspondingly diverse, not one model of alien, but countless variations adapted to countless different situations. The question of what alien life looks like has no single answer. Instead, it has as many answers as there are environments capable of supporting life. The exotic environments we have considered: subsurface rock, ice-covered oceans, methane lakes, volcanic regions, high radiation zones, crushing depths, are all based on conditions we know exist somewhere in our solar system or that we can reasonably infer exist around other stars. The actual diversity of conditions in the universe likely exceeds even this list. Each exotic environment that we can imagine, and many that we cannot, might host life adapted to conditions we would find intolerable. The universe is large enough and old enough and chemically diverse enough that life might have found countless niches to occupy, countless forms to take, countless solutions to the problem of surviving and reproducing. Among all the forms that alien life might take, the possibility of intelligent aliens holds particular fascination for us. Minds that might contemplate their universe as we contemplate ours, perhaps even wondering whether other intelligences exist somewhere among the stars. Intelligence has evolved at least once in the history of Earth, and the conditions that produced it might be replicated elsewhere. The evolution of intelligence on Earth required certain preconditions that may or may not be common throughout the universe. Large brains require significant energy, which in turn requires abundant food resources and efficient metabolisms to exploit them. Complex nervous systems take time to evolve, requiring billions of years of biological history leading up to their emergence. Earth's history provided these preconditions, with photosynthesis producing abundant oxygen that enabled high-energy metabolisms, with stable conditions persisting long enough for complex life to evolve. With ecological pressures that rewarded intelligence in the competition for survival and reproduction. Similar conditions might exist on many worlds, or they might be rare. The timing of intelligence on Earth offers some clue to its probability, emerging roughly 4 billion years after life itself first appeared. If this timescale is typical, then worlds with shorter histories might not have had time for intelligence to evolve, while worlds with longer histories might have produced it long ago. Earth may be early, late, or somewhere in the middle of the cosmic distribution. The physical form of intelligent aliens is one of the most intriguing questions. Whether minds must inhabit bodies like ours, or whether intelligence can arise in radically different packages. On Earth, the most intelligent creatures are all vertebrates, with bilateral symmetry, paired sensory organs, and brains located in their heads. This might be a requirement, or it might be coincidence. Certain features seem functionally advantageous for intelligent creatures regardless of their evolutionary history or body plan. Sensory organs concentrated near the brain reduce signal transmission time, making responses faster and more coordinated. Manipulation appendages, like hands or tentacles, enable tool use, which both requires and rewards intelligence. Social structures that benefit from communication provide pressure to develop sophisticated cognitive abilities. An intelligent alien might therefore have a recognizable arrangement of sensory organs near its brain case, some form of manipulative appendage, and perhaps a social structure that involves complex communication. Within these broad constraints, however, enormous variation remains possible. The specific arrangement of eyes, the number and type of limbs, the texture and color of coverings, all might differ radically from human norms. Eyes have evolved independently many times on Earth and would likely evolve on any world where light carries information useful for survival. Intelligent aliens would probably have eyes of some kind, though these might detect different wavelengths than ours, might be arranged differently on the head, might number more or fewer than 2. The basic function of gathering and processing light would be served by structures that might look quite different from the eyes we know. The bodies housing intelligent minds might be larger or smaller than human bodies, depending on the gravity and resources of their home worlds, the metabolic constraints they face, and the evolutionary pressures that shaped their lineage. Nothing about intelligence requires a particular body size, though larger brains generally require larger bodies to support them. On low-gravity worlds, intelligent creatures might be tall and spindly, their large brains housed in heads that would seem disproportionate by Earth standards, but are perfectly functional under reduced gravitational stress. On high-gravity worlds, intelligent aliens might be compact and sturdy, with brains proportionally smaller but perhaps more densely packed with neurons. The coverings of intelligent aliens would depend on their environmental conditions. Fur or feathers or scales or naked skin, or something entirely different, providing protection against heat loss, radiation, abrasion, or other local hazards. Coloration might serve camouflage, display, or thermoregulation, producing appearances that might seem beautiful or strange to human observers, depending on our aesthetic reactions. The faces of intelligent aliens might be particularly alien to our perception, as humans are exquisitely sensitive to faces and read meaning into arrangements of features in ways that might not apply to non-human structures. An arrangement of sensory organs that functions perfectly well for its possessor might seem disturbing or incomprehensible to us simply because it does not match the patterns our brains expect. Intelligence does not require a humanoid body plan, and some of Earth's most intelligent non-human creatures demonstrate this clearly. Octopuses possess remarkable intelligence, including problem-solving abilities and complex behaviors housed in bodies radically different from vertebrate designs. They have no skeleton, 8 flexible arms, distributed nervous systems, and yet they demonstrate capabilities that challenge our assumptions about what intelligence requires. Crows and other corvids show sophisticated tool use, planning ability, and social intelligence in bodies specialized for flight rather than manipulation. Their beaks serving as multi-purpose tools that substitute for hands. Their intelligence evolved along a completely different lineage from mammalian intelligence, demonstrating that minds can emerge from various evolutionary paths. Intelligent aliens might therefore inhabit bodies as different from ours as octopuses or birds. Creatures that would not be recognized as intelligent at first glance by observers expecting humanoid forms. Their intelligence might be expressed through behaviors rather than obvious physical features, requiring observation rather than inspection to detect. The communication methods of intelligent aliens might differ substantially from human speech, using visual displays, chemical signals, electrical fields, or modalities we do not possess and might not immediately recognize as communication. Language does not require sound, as human sign languages demonstrate, and alien equivalents might operate through entirely different sensory channels. The technological expressions of alien intelligence might provide clearer signatures than biological observation. As technology leaves marks on environments and produces signals that biology alone does not, artificial structures, engineered materials, and electromagnetic transmissions could indicate intelligence even when the intelligent creatures themselves are not visible. An intelligent species need not develop technology, however. As demonstrated by dolphins and whales on Earth, creatures with sophisticated cognition and complex societies but no material culture. Aliens might be intelligent without building things, without altering their environments in detectable ways, without producing signals that our instruments could detect across interstellar distances. The search for intelligent life therefore faces challenges beyond simply finding life at all, requiring either close observation sufficient to detect intelligent behavior or detection of technological signatures that betray the presence of minds. Neither approach is easy, and intelligent aliens might exist without our being able to confirm their existence from afar. The timescales of intelligence also complicate the search, as civilizations might rise and fall within spans that are brief compared to the age of the galaxy. Human technological civilization has existed for mere centuries. An alien civilization might have flourished 1,000,000 years ago and left no traces we could detect today. Simultaneity is not guaranteed. If intelligent aliens exist, they might be aware of us, might have detected Earth's biosignatures or technological signals, might even now be contemplating the strange creatures that inhabit the third planet of an ordinary yellow star in an unfashionable arm of the galaxy. Or they might not, their attention directed elsewhere, or their instruments insufficient to detect us across the distances involved. The possibility that we are being observed is neither comforting nor alarming, but simply another unknown in a universe full of them. We cannot know what other minds might know about us, what conclusions they might have drawn, what interest they might or might not take in our existence. The uncertainty extends in all directions. Intelligent life, if it exists beyond Earth, almost certainly includes forms we would find strange. Minds housed in bodies adapted to conditions unlike our own, thinking thoughts shaped by experiences we have never had. Yet they would share with us the basic quality of awareness, of curiosity, of seeking to understand the universe that contains them. The forms that alien intelligence might take are constrained by physics, but not limited to human imagination. Whatever intelligent beings exist out there, if any do, they would be products of their own evolutionary histories, adapted to their own environments, expressing their consciousness through bodies and behaviors that might bear little resemblance to our own. Throughout this exploration of alien forms, we have relied on the assumption that alien life would be recognizable as life, that its basic properties would resemble those we observe on Earth closely enough for our concepts to apply. This assumption might be wrong. Life elsewhere might be so different that we would not know it when we saw it. The definition of life is surprisingly difficult to articulate, even for Earth life that we can study directly and manipulate in laboratories. We know life when we see it, or we think we do, but edge cases challenge our intuitions. Viruses hover at the boundary between life and non-life. Fire consumes resources, grows and reproduces in a sense. But we do not consider it alive. Alien life might exist in the ambiguous zones of our definitions, displaying some properties we associate with life, but lacking others, organized in ways that do not fit our categories. We might look at it and see only chemistry, missing the organization and purpose that would make it alive by any reasonable standard. Life on Earth uses a specific set of molecular building blocks: DNA and RNA for information storage, proteins for structure and catalysis, lipid membranes for compartmentalization, ATP for energy currency. This molecular toolkit works well under Earth conditions, but it is not necessarily the only toolkit that could support life. Alternatives might exist that we have not imagined. The search for life is guided by assumptions that might turn out to be too narrow, focusing on signatures that Earth life produces, while missing signatures that alien life might produce instead. We look for water because Earth life requires it, For oxygen, because Earth photosynthesis produces it. For organic molecules, because Earth life is organic. Alien life might differ on all counts. Silicon has often been proposed as an alternative to carbon for the backbone of biological molecules, as silicon can form 4 bonds like carbon and is abundant throughout the universe. Silicon-based life would have different properties than carbon-based life. Stable at higher temperatures, less flexible in its chemistry, producing different waste products. Whether silicon life is actually possible remains unknown, as no examples exist to study, and laboratory attempts to create silicon-based self-replicating systems have not succeeded. The concept remains theoretically plausible but unconfirmed, a possibility we cannot rule out but cannot confirm either. Ammonia has been proposed as an alternative solvent to water, remaining liquid at much lower temperatures and possessing some of the properties that make water useful for biochemistry. Life using ammonia as its primary solvent would be fundamentally different from Earth life, operating at temperatures where water is frozen solid. More exotic possibilities extend beyond alternative elements and solvents to alternative forms of organization entirely. Life might exist in ways that do not involve discrete organisms at all. Distributed systems that extend across environments, rather than being contained within boundaries. Earth's biosphere has aspects of this, with ecosystems functioning as larger units. But individual organisms remain the fundamental level of organization. Truly distributed life might not have individuals in any sense we would recognize, might not reproduce through discrete generations, might process information and respond to environment in ways that defy our categories. We might look at such a system and see only environment, not recognizing that the environment itself is in some sense alive. Life might operate on timescales so different from ours that we would not recognize its activity as biological. Extremely slow life taking centuries to complete, processes that Earth organisms complete in seconds, would appear static to observers operating on human timescales. We might conclude that nothing was happening, while in fact complex life processes were unfolding too slowly for us to perceive. Conversely, extremely fast life might complete its entire existence in time frames we would experience as instantaneous. Generations rising and falling between one human heartbeat and the next. We might not recognize such rapid activity as biological, might attribute it to chemistry or physics rather than life. The spatial scale of life might also vary beyond our expectations, with organisms too small to detect with our instruments or too large to recognize as unitary beings. Earth contains organisms ranging from viruses nanometers across to fungal networks extending kilometers. But this range might not capture the full possibilities that exist elsewhere. Life operating at subatomic scales, if such is physically possible, would be invisible to any instruments we currently possess, and might interact with the universe in ways we could not detect. Whether the physics of very small scales permits the complexity necessary for life remains unknown, but we cannot rule out possibilities that our current understanding does not address. Very large life, organisms extending across planetary or larger scales, might be equally difficult to recognize, their structure too vast for us to perceive as structure. We might observe individual components without recognizing that they belong to a larger organized whole. Like ants crawling on an elephant, without recognizing the elephant as a single organism. The boundaries of life might be less clear than we assume, with gradual transitions between non-living chemistry and living systems rather than sharp distinctions. The origin of life on Earth involved such a transition, but we do not know how gradual or sudden it was, or whether intermediate states persisted for long periods. Life based on physics we do not yet understand represents the most speculative possibility. The acknowledgement that our current knowledge is incomplete, and that future discoveries might reveal entire categories of existence we cannot currently imagine. Dark matter and dark energy comprise most of the universe's content, but remain mysterious. Could life exist in these sectors of physics? The question seems absurd from our current vantage, as we have no evidence that dark matter interacts in ways complex enough to support anything resembling life. But our knowledge of dark matter is minimal, and we cannot confidently rule out possibilities that lie beyond our current theoretical frameworks. Even within known physics, phenomena exist that we do not fully understand and that might, in principle, support forms of organization we have not considered. Quantum coherence, plasma dynamics, and other complex physical processes might, under the right conditions, give rise to something that deserves to be called life, even if it looks nothing like the life we know. The honest answer to what alien life might look like includes "we don't know" as a significant component, acknowledging the limits of imagination constrained by the single example of Earth life that we can study. Our predictions might be completely correct, or they might miss the most important possibilities entirely. This uncertainty is not frustrating but liberating, a reminder that the universe is not obligated to confirm our expectations and that discovery involves genuine surprise. If we knew exactly what alien life would look like, finding it would be mere confirmation rather than discovery. The uncertainty preserves the possibility of wonder. The forms that life might take beyond Earth span a range from the nearly familiar to the utterly alien. From microbes similar to Earth bacteria to organized systems that challenge our definition of life itself. Somewhere on this spectrum, perhaps in many places, actual alien life exists, waiting to be discovered. Whatever we find will teach us something about the universe, and our place in it will expand our understanding of what is possible and what is actual. The search is worthwhile regardless of its outcome, and the uncertainty that motivates it is itself a kind of gift, the assurance that genuine surprises remain to be discovered. The forms we cannot predict might be the most wonderful of all. Life that exceeds imagination, creatures that we could not have designed if we had tried. The universe has proven consistently more creative than human minds, producing on Earth alone creatures that would seem fantastical if we did not know they existed. The creatures that might exist beyond Earth encompass a diversity that exceeds any catalogue we could compile. Forms shaped by environments we have not visited, evolved through histories we have not witnessed, adapted to conditions we have not experienced. The universe is vast enough and old enough to have produced life in countless variations. We have considered many possibilities tonight: microbes that might float in alien oceans, or cling to volcanic vents, swimmers streamlined by the same physics that streamlines fish and dolphins, walkers adapted to gravities higher or lower than Earth's, flyers exploiting atmospheres thick or thin, drifters in the clouds of gas giants, burrowers in subsurface darkness. We have imagined creatures shaped by red dwarf light with enormous eyes to gather dim photons. Creatures armored against radiation, their bodies evolved under stars more active than our sun. Creatures that breathe hydrogen and exhale methane, operating on chemistry unlike anything on Earth. Creatures of silicon instead of carbon, of ammonia instead of water. We have wondered about intelligent aliens, minds housed in bodies strange to our perception, communicating through channels we might not recognize, building technologies or not building anything at all. Aware of the cosmos or aware only of their immediate environments. Consciousness might be rare or common, might take forms we would recognize or forms we would miss entirely. All of these possibilities arise from the same basic principles that govern life on Earth. The principles of chemistry and physics applied to different initial conditions and evolved through different histories. Life everywhere must obey thermodynamics, must process energy and information, must reproduce and evolve if it is to persist across generations. Within these constraints, enormous variation is possible, as the diversity of Earth life demonstrates even on a single world with a single biochemistry. The universe offers countless worlds with countless different conditions, each potentially a laboratory for life to explore different solutions to the challenges of survival and reproduction. The creatures we imagine are not fantasy, but prediction, extrapolations from known principles to unknown territories. They might not exist at all if life is rare or absent beyond Earth. They might exist exactly as we imagine, if our understanding of biology and physics is as complete as we hope. They might exist in forms we cannot predict, if the universe still has surprises in store. The uncertainty is comfortable at this hour, a field of possibilities rather than a demand for answers. We do not need to know tonight what forms alien life takes. The question itself is valuable, opening imagination to the vast diversity that might populate a universe far larger and stranger than our single planetary experience can represent. The colors of alien creatures might span ranges we cannot see, ultraviolet patterns and infrared glows adapted to stars unlike our sun. The textures might range from smooth to spiny, from rigid to flowing, from individual to colonial. The scales might span from microscopic to planetary, from fast-living to slow-living, from individual to distributed. If we could somehow catalogue all the life forms in the universe, the book would be enormous beyond imagining, each entry describing some unique solution to the problem of living in some particular environment. Earth's contribution to this catalogue would be substantial. Millions of species evolved over billions of years, but it would be only one chapter among many. The creatures of Europa's hidden ocean, if they exist, would fill their own pages, adapted to darkness and pressure, and the chemistry of an ice-covered moon. The potential life of Enceladus, of Titan, of Mars, of exoplanets we have not yet discovered. Each would contribute its own variations, its own solutions, its own forms. We cannot visit this catalogue tonight, cannot flip through its pages to see what evolution has produced elsewhere. We can only imagine, only predict, only wonder. The actual diversity remains hidden, waiting for the slow process of discovery to reveal it, one world at a time. The search for alien life continues while you rest, telescopes gathering light that might carry signatures of biological activity, spacecraft traveling toward destinations where life might exist, scientists analyzing data that might contain clues we have not yet recognized. The search is patient because the universe is large and the signals are faint. Whatever forms alien life takes, it exists in the same universe that contains you, subject to the same physical laws, made of the same fundamental particles. The universe is unified in its physics, even as it is diverse in its expressions. Carbon atoms on distant worlds behave exactly as carbon atoms on Earth. What differs is the arrangements into which they have been organized. Life is one of those arrangements, a pattern of organization that matter can achieve under the right conditions, and that once achieved tends to perpetuate itself through reproduction and evolution. The pattern has arisen at least once, here on Earth, and the question of how many other times remains open. The forms that pattern takes are shaped by circumstances, molded by environment and history into the incredible diversity we observe on Earth and might observe across the cosmos. No single form represents life. Life is the underlying pattern, expressed differently in every organism that has ever existed. The universe holds its creatures quietly tonight, whatever they are, wherever they might be. The possible forms of alien life remain possibilities, waiting for discovery to confirm or surprise or exceed our expectations entirely. The wondering itself is worthwhile, expanding imagination beyond the boundaries of a single world. On some distant ocean moon, something might be swimming through darkness right now. Its form shaped by conditions we can describe, but have never experienced. On some exoplanet orbiting a red dwarf star, something might be crawling or flying or drifting, adapted to a world we have only begun to imagine. Or perhaps nowhere, perhaps Earth alone. Perhaps the vast universe is empty except for this one small blue marble. Either way, the question has been worth asking, the possibilities worth contemplating, the diversity of forms worth imagining. The universe invites wonder, and tonight we have accepted that invitation, traveling in imagination to worlds we cannot visit, and meeting creatures that might or might not exist. The forms of alien life remain unknown, but the wondering is complete for tonight. The possibilities settle like sediment, drifting down through consciousness toward rest. Whatever exists out there will still exist tomorrow, still unknowable, but still fascinating, still waiting for the patient search to reveal what forms life has taken beyond the only world we know. Good night from the drowsy astronaut. Sleep well, and we'll explore the cosmos together again soon.